that was a wonderful opportunity actually that you gave us there, because on the back of that, we actually, within an hour of doing the webinar, we got a live inquiry from one of the other chamber members. Welcome to Let's Talk Pure Ideas. I'm Katia Douglas, and I'd like to welcome Alex Kerr as our first guest speaker. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, Katia.
Hi. Alex is a membership advisor, that's correct, isn't it, Alex? So at the Coventry and Warwickshire Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
And Pure Ideas have been engaged members of the Coventry and Warwickshire Chamber for approximately a year, and we're really finding the relationship that we have with the Chamber beneficial.
Yep.
Really thank you for joining us today. We're quite excited to see a person in the flesh rather than over Zoom or Teams. So Alex, can you tell us a little bit more about you and how long you've actually been with the Chamber?
Yeah, no, thank you for having me firstly. But I've been with the Chamber now for coming up to 3 years now.
Oh wow.
So I'm a membership advisor, that's what I started off as. Basically started selling memberships when people were interested. They'd speak to me, I'd talk to them about it and say which is the best membership for them. And then kind of it's changed really from COVID. So I'm a membership advisor still, but now I'm actually an account manager. So I look after people like yourself, and look after engaged members who are some of the larger companies in Coventry and Warwickshire. And yeah, I do that. I do a bit of DMO as well. So I've just been put into the DMO team as well, which is destination management, which is more for tourism and leisure. Okay. So it's more advertising for the tourism and leisure industry. We can share their events, share the very similar to Chamber, but more for the tourism and leisure side of things. So yeah, about 3 years now, and really enjoying it.
Quite a diverse role that you've got there then.
Yeah.
And could you tell us a little bit more about your specific role within the Chamber?
Yeah, so I mean myself, what would happen with me would be, if someone is interested in the Chamber membership, this is my main job, is if someone's interested and they're thinking, or a referral's come to me and they've said we'd like to join the Chamber, you'd come through to myself or my colleague Sam, and basically we just try to tell you which one's best for you, and sometimes we turn people away. So we do.
So we were lucky to get in there.
Yeah, no, it's not that we turn them away. It's just if we don't think it's going to be beneficial for them, we accept everyone, but there's some times where if there's a business that we think it's not going to be right for you to join, or if you're not at the right time yet, we will tell you. So we're not. Yeah. We do sell, but we're good people.
So you're honest as well.
Yeah,
I like that, Alex. That's great. Okay. And we recently did a webinar with the Coventry and Warwickshire Chamber. I know one of our attorneys did a sort of live webinar with questions and answers, and that was a wonderful opportunity actually that you gave us there, because on the back of that, we actually, within an hour of doing the webinar, we got a live inquiry from one of the other Chamber members. So it was a really nice way of showing how the Chamber of Commerce connects businesses to each other and how that can be beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, so, definitely. I heard about that. I was really happy with that as well, because we try to make introductions and so on. But when it's nice when someone's come to a webinar, seeing how good you guys are, and then they've obviously said, we'll use these guys. So yeah, no, brilliant. We were really pleased with that as well.
Yes, it really just goes to show the benefits of having a membership like this.
Definitely.
And
so yeah, something I want to know is what led you to become Chamber members.
Pure Ideas is really passionate about helping local businesses with their intellectual property. We are an intellectual property company. As you know from finding us today, we're based in Stratford-upon-Avon. You did very well to find the office, by the way. Congratulations. Intellectual property is something that is often overlooked by businesses because they don't necessarily really understand what it is. So it's things like patents, trademarks, design registrations, and a whole host of other things like putting the right clauses into your employment contracts so that you protect the assets of your business in the right way. And what we've found is that if we can build relationships with local businesses and inform them and help them to understand what intellectual property is, they can then start thinking more seriously about what they need to look after in their business, those assets that are often called intangible assets. So if they are aware that they need to be thinking about protecting their brand, for example, the way their logo is, or other things around their business, then we can help guide them in the right direction. And we hope that by engaging with other members of the Chamber, we can help local businesses as well as businesses that are more worldwide.
Oh, fantastic. Brilliant.
And from your point of view, Alex, what's the importance to you of connecting with local businesses so that they become members of the Chamber?
Oh, it's huge. It's what we look for, really, is me myself on membership. That's the thing I want, because the amount of people I speak to when they join the Chamber, a lot of times they speak to us and they'll say they want all this, they want the marketing, they want that, but the main reason they join is to network with other businesses and deal with other businesses, and it's a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time it's down to that. So it's huge for us. So it's one of the best things for us is when we see a business come to a networking event and they'll see another business there and they start talking to each other and they'll just start working with each from there. So if they start working with each other there, it brings a editorial piece, so it's good marketing then for them.
Yes.
It's good marketing for the Chamber, because then we can put it in a magazine as well, and it's brilliant, to be fair. It's one of the best things we see is when we see the businesses working together, and we see it a lot. It's lovely, to be fair, and if you can grow your business locally, then it will grow naturally as well. I mean, I've never run a business, so I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I mean, yeah, it's local business to us is
being part of that journey.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, really interesting. And what kind of help can you provide for local businesses at the Chamber?
So at our Chamber, we have roughly about 1,300 members in Coventry and Warwickshire Chamber. Okay. So they don't have to be Coventry and Warwickshire based. They can be all over. But if they want to market and if they want to use our services in Coventry and Warwickshire, anyone can join really from there. So we, as a chamber as a whole, though, British Chamber of Commerce has 53 accredited chambers, and we're one of them, and they account for around about 75,000 businesses around the UK, which is
a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So it's brilliant, and it's what we can do, how we can help is really going back to where I said businesses working with each other. There's a lot we can do, but I suppose coming from the membership side of things, where I am is networking events. We host these networking events, a minimum of 2 a month we'll be hosting. When it gets a bit busy, we'll have 3 or 4, but it's they're really popular. We get a lot of people there, average about 40 to 50, but then we've got one coming up towards the end of next month, which is going to have 200, I think, 200, 300 people there, which will be a good one. So networking, marketing, like I said on there, we can share editorials, we can run through all of these bits and pieces and put them out to our magazine, which has got around about 8,500 to 10,000 readers. I'm trying to remember all the numbers here, but this readership, it's brilliant. If you can imagine, you put an editorial into a magazine, and the amount of money you pay for that. Whereas if you were to join the Chamber, you put your editorial and you've got all these people seeing it. It's really helpful, to be fair. So, but then we have different types of membership. So you'll join a different type of member depending on what business you are. So you guys, you're an engaged member, which for you, what we can do is the likes of going marketing, networking, brilliant. But then what we can do is try to make introductions. So if there's a business you see, or we want to work with that company there in Coventry, can you make an introduction for us? And it's a lot easier having a warm intro.
Definitely.
I've come from a sales background, so from having a warm intro to cold calling and cold leads is so much nicer. So we have got the relationships. It's really nice. It's a lovely place. It's a lovely place to work, but also it's because of what we see. We see the businesses working together, and it's.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about the different levels of membership, so you've already managed to preempt my question, which is fantastic. And it's really interesting that you talk about the sort of the tailoring of the support to the different people in the membership, because that's something that Pure Ideas is really keen on as well, sort of tailoring what we do to the different sizes of organisation. We, as well as working with local businesses, we also work with a number of organisations across the world. We have clients in the United States and the Far East, and I think the one thing that's clear with any of our clients is they like transparency of cost and knowing what things are going to cost up front if they can. I know that's not always possible. In the intellectual property world, that's quite unusual. A lot of it's done by charging by the hour, and we don't work to that model. So what we try to do with any client is get under the skin of their business first, really understand what their business is about and what they're trying to achieve, so that we can best advise them in the sort of strategy that they should follow for their intellectual property. So it isn't necessarily that they should have a patent, it might be something completely different, but we listen to what they say, we look at what their budgets are, and then we discuss the parameters of the work that we're going to do. So that we can give them a price for that piece of work, and that means that they know that if they wanted a 10-minute conversation with one of our attorneys to discuss something, they're not going to be landed with a massive bill for the for the privilege of that. And we have heard horror stories that are exactly like that, where somebody's had a 10-minute conversation and got a great big bill. So we look at the parameters of the work, agree a price, and then as long as the work's within those parameters, that's the price they'll pay for that piece of work, which I think that visibility of cost is something that our clients really appreciate, and certainly that's the feedback we've had from a number of them.
No, that's brilliant as well, isn't it?
Is there anything else you'd sort of like to know about the patent world?
There is, to be fair, because I watch a lot of Dragon's Den, so I think there's new seasons on now, isn't it? So I watch it, me and my partner watch it together constantly, and the question which is always asked, and if it's a no, it's always really, the dragons are always upset by it, they always get upset by it, but it's about patents. So I mean, why would you have a patent? Why would you go?
Okay, well, I would think that I'm not an IP expert, so I'm not going to give you a direct IP advice here, Alex. I'll give that caveat straight away. But the dragons are investors, and any investor is going to be interested in whether you have thought about the intellectual property strategy for your business. And if you have something, an idea that's very novel and innovative, it's possible that you might have the benefit of patent protection. So if somebody has looked down the route of having, sometimes you hear them talking about patents pending, so that means that they've applied for a patent, it hasn't been granted yet, but they're looking at that. That for an investor is much more attractive, because it means that it's going to give them a monopoly right over the way that thing is designed. So competitors are not technically allowed to copy what's going on. It's theirs.
They can't sell.
Absolutely. And it's their right to have that, as long as they pay their renewal fees every year for that patent. They've got that cover for 20 years.
Oh wow.
So it is, the caveat again is you have to pay your renewal fees every year, and the patent is only protected in the country in which you've got those patents. So if you've got it in the UK, you're covered in the UK. You'd need to get patent protection in other countries if you wanted to protect it in other countries as well. So that's the reason the dragons are interested, because it gives them a much more of a focus on their investment being successful and them making money.
Fair enough. So if you've got a really good idea, get a patent on it, basically.
If you can, and it's not always something that you can do, but there are other ways of protecting things, such as trade secrets and keeping. So Coca-Cola is a good example of a trade secret. The formula is a secret in the company, and that's why no two Coca-Cola people are allowed on a plane at the same time, so that they...
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I've learned something today.
Yeah.
I did have another question as well, if that's okay, because it's just going on to patents as well, but it's also trademarks. So patents and trademarks, I see those a lot as well. I mean, what are the differences between those two?
Okay, there are big differences. Patent, as we just discussed, is it covers something that's very innovative. There are certain parameters that you have to achieve to have something that's patentable, and then it's covered for 20 years. A trademark is more about protecting the brand or the identity of a company. So you're talking about the name of your organisation. Your logo, for example, can be trademarked, and in the case of some organisations, things like colours, so Cadbury and the purple. The purple colour of Cadbury is trademarked.
No way.
So it's to protect that identity, because if you saw that colour purple, you would know that was Cadbury, wouldn't you? So, but to be honest with you, Alex, if you want to know more about patents or trademarks, or anybody listening to this podcast would like to, Pure Ideas have already done some podcasts previously. We've got one that covers trademarks, or the first stage of trademarks, and one that covers patents. So have a listen and see what you think. But before we wrap up today, Alex, I'd be really keen to sort of find out, are there any upcoming events, particularly in the next few weeks, that the listeners might be interested in?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some really good ones coming up, to be honest with you. We the best thing to say really is we'll always have events on majority of the time. There's times in like December where we might only have the one event on, just because it's so quiet, but every month, if you come back to us, we'll always have a minimum of 2 events on each month, and then, like I say, in the hot summer, the nice events, we'll have 3 or 4 coming up. But if anyone listening is interested in the chamber, they want to find out more, just give me a shout. My name's Alex.
Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today. Thank you so much
for
coming along to our offices. And as Alex said before, if any of the listeners want to know more about becoming a member of the Chamber of Commerce, or would like to know about intellectual property and want to have an informal chat with us, we will give some links at the end of the podcast that you can follow, so you can reach out to us, and we'll be happy to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Thank you.